Donald Trump has just delivered what may become one of the most controversial presidential interviews in recent American history. During a televised conversation with NBC, the president was asked about the ongoing conflict with Iran, but instead of outlining a clear strategy, a consistent message, or a defined objective for the war, viewers witnessed something very different: a president contradicting himself, a president offering vague answers, and at one moment, even suggesting that bombing a foreign country's oil infrastructure could be done just for fun. Those words have now spread across global media, and they are landing at a moment when the situation on the ground is already spiraling. 13 American service members are dead. More than 200 military personnel have been wounded. U.S. installations across the Middle East are under attack, and one of the most important shipping routes in the world, the Strait of Hormuz, is now effectively closed to American and Allied vessels. Tonight, we are going to break down exactly what happened in that interview. We will examine 3 major contradictions between the president's statements and the reality unfolding across the region. And we will explain why many analysts believe the geopolitical landscape is shifting faster than at any time in the last decades. Section 1: The two realities. Right now, two very different versions of reality are being presented to the world. The first version is the one described by Donald Trump during his interview. In that version, Iran's military power has been completely destroyed. Foreign governments are allegedly reaching out to Washington, eager to negotiate, and the United States is supposedly leading a coalition ready to secure the Strait of Hormuz. But when you compare those claims to the events unfolding across the region, the picture looks dramatically different. Iranian drones have been striking American positions in Iraq. Missiles continue to target Israeli cities, and several major U.S. allies have publicly stated they will not participate in the conflict. So the question becomes unavoidable: is the situation improving, as the White House claims, or is the conflict expanding beyond control? Section 2: How the crisis began. To understand where things stand today, we need to rewind to the beginning of this escalation. The chain of events started when the United States and Israel launched coordinated strikes against Iranian targets. Reports indicate that military advisors had warned such an operation could provoke a broader regional response. Those warnings were clear: Iran could retaliate through proxy forces, shipping lanes could be disrupted, and attacks on U.S. assets across the Middle East were likely. Despite those warnings, the operation moved forward. Iran's response came quickly. Missile and drone strikes were launched across multiple locations, and the Strait of Hormuz, a waterway responsible for transporting roughly 1/5 of the world's oil supply, became a flashpoint. The consequences of that closure are already being felt in global energy markets. Section 3: Claim versus reality. During the NBC interview, President Trump claimed Iran's military capability had been completely eliminated, but events across the region suggest otherwise. Israeli air defense systems have been under sustained pressure from missile attacks. Iranian drones have successfully reached American installations in Iraq. Satellite footage shows damage to infrastructure across multiple military sites, and intelligence reports suggest Iranian forces still maintain the ability to strike throughout the region. In other words, the conflict is very far from over. Section 4: The alliance problem. Another major issue highlighted during the interview involves America's traditional allies. For decades, U.S. strategy in the Middle East relied on coalition partnerships. But in recent days, several countries have publicly distanced themselves from the conflict. The United Kingdom has reportedly pulled naval assets away from the area. France has denied reports that it plans to deploy warships. Turkey has made it clear it will not participate in military operations. Italy has also rejected involvement. This growing reluctance raises a serious question: has Washington lost the coalition support it once depended on? Section 5: The Ukraine dimension. The situation becomes even more complicated when Ukraine enters the discussion. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky reportedly offered the United States advanced drone defense technologies. Ukraine has spent years developing systems capable of intercepting the same Iranian-designed drones now appearing across the Middle East. According to multiple reports, those systems could help counter the Shahd-type drones currently striking U.S. installations. However, the transfer of that technology was reportedly blocked. This decision has sparked intense debate among military analysts. Because Ukraine may currently have the most practical battlefield experience defending against those specific weapons, Section 6 economic consequence. While military tensions dominate headlines, the economic impact is already reaching everyday Americans. Energy prices are climbing, shipping costs are rising, and disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz threaten global supply chains. Nearly 20% of the world's oil passes through that narrow waterway. If the closure continues, the ripple effects could be felt across fuel prices, transportation costs, and consumer goods. In other words, this conflict is not just happening overseas. Its consequences could soon be felt at gas stations and grocery stores. Section 7. 3 possible outcomes from here. Analysts see 3 potential scenarios. First is a negotiated de-escalation. Back-channel diplomacy involving regional powers could lead to a ceasefire and a reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. Second is a geopolitical realignment. Countries may begin forming new alliances and energy partnerships that bypass the United States entirely. And the third possibility is the one nobody wants to discuss: further escalation. A direct strike on a major military asset, an attack on a major city, or an incident involving a third nation that triggers a wider regional war. What makes this moment so significant is not just the conflict itself. It is the growing perception that the global system built around American leadership may be entering a period of transformation. Whether that shift becomes temporary or permanent remains to be seen. But one thing is certain: the decisions made in the coming weeks will shape the balance of power across the world for years to come. So the question now is simple: is this conflict moving toward resolution? Or is it the beginning of something much bigger? Let us know what you think. And stay with us, because this story is developing rapidly, and we will continue bringing you updates as new information emerges.